How is that a tool?
Yeah, it was a really good tool, not only it's to see what the quarterback's looking at, see his vision and stuff, but you get to hear the play call in the huddle. You get to hear how they're communicating at the line of scrimmage. So it's a really good tool to help, like in Mike's perspective, help him progress and hear how Kirk was calling plays and how he handled stuff at the line of scrimmage and, audibles and protection adjustments and all those things. So it was a really good tool for him to kind of just learn and, see how the game is and also help him hear himself. Now, he'll admit it, he hated it because he didn't like hearing his own voice for whatever reason. But guys watch on their own, learn their own stuff, and it helped us as well as coaches.
Could you see a moment during kind of the season before he ever entered the lineup where that kind of clicked and you saw him take maybe a leap because of just some of these extra insights he was?
Absolutely. He picked up on our offense super quick. He's had so much experience in college football. Some of these guys that come out, they're only played 1 year or so, but Mike had a ton of experience, ton of starts, ton of throws, ton of dropbacks, ton of work in the pocket. So everything that he learned here, he picked it up quickly and applied it super fast on the field. And he's such a smart, instinctual football player that it was pretty seamless.
We haven't really had a chance to see much, so can you kind of tell us what's been going on and how's Pennett's been looking so far?
Yeah, we've just been working through the first part of the offseason, the phase 1, the phase 2, finally getting on the field with the guys and being able to, run and throw routes and coach them and be out there in the grass and not just see them in meetings and talk at a screen the whole time. So it's been really good. Going into year 2 of the system, it's some new stuff, some tweaks, some old stuff that we kept that we've applied from last year, some self-scout things. You look around the league, you try to find some new ideas. So it's a fun time of the year because these guys get to see the stuff that they did on film from last year, progress on it, get better at it. Take the good, get better at it, work on some things that we need to work on, and also install some new stuff for these guys that's something new and fresh.
Zach was talking about seeing the growth when it came to Penix, even just standing up and talking a little bit more in meetings. Where have you seen maybe on the field him taking that next step?
Yeah, just the leadership role of, being the guy, being QB1 and it's not only on the field, it's in meetings too, whether he, asks Zach a question or makes a suggestion in meetings and talks to the guys on how he wants a certain route run or how he sees it, just so, everybody's seeing the field and seeing the offense through the same set of eyes so we can all be on the same page. And, when he goes out in the field, he is a leader by demeanor and by, his actions. He's not a big vocal guy. He's not going to sit there and hoot and holler and do all these things. He does it in his own genuine way, and guys gravitate towards it. And it is awesome to see. Just in the first couple weeks out there with the guys on the grass, we've been taking, a lot of strides so far, and we're excited to actually get into OTAs and do it against the defense and kind of take that next step in the progression. But it's been really fun so far.
PJ, what do you see out of Kyle? We asked Zach about it. Do you feel like that? Do you see any difference in him right now?
Yeah, everybody going into each year of your career in this league, you're going to learn new things. You're going to learn from years past. Again, second year in this offense for him. Being able to take the next step and understanding the ins and outs and the nuances of it all, and he's a motivated guy. He's ready to prove a lot of people wrong, and he's ready to contribute for us, and we're all excited for him.
When you talk about over the offseason, kind of looking around the league, seeing kind of the other plays and things that you can incorporate, is it as easy as ooh, I like that, we're going to just steal that? Or do you need to find the right types of plays to match with your philosophy, your scheme, your players?
Yeah, for sure. You can't just throw something in that you don't do. It's not like we're going to just randomly install a triple option or something like that. Even though it works for somebody else, it might not work for our personnel, how we're built, or it just doesn't really complement things that we already do. So that's part of it. It's got to be a nuanced thing where we got to make sure that it fits with what we do, it fits with our players and how they play. And it's not wholesale changes or anything. They're just little tweaks or something we might have done last year we didn't turn out as good as we hoped, and we just tweak a route or tweak a technique of a route. Some of these changes are small, but they can really lead to big things in the field.
Is there a process that you guys go to figure out if something is the right fit, or do you just kind of know it immediately when you see it? Hey, they've got this guy, we don't have that guy.
Well, this is what this time of year is for. We can go out there, we can try new things. It didn't look very good, take it out. Or we try something that looks sweet, let's put it in. So this is the time for trial and error. It's the time to try new things, and the guys love it when it gives them some really command, and gives them some opportunities to kind of voice their opinions, and empowers the players to kind of take hold of some new stuff that we may be trying. So it's a very collaborative process between coaches and players and coaches, and the guys love it, and it's a fun time of year.
Last one, the empowering. So Mike, kind of going in his first year as a starter, what kind of say does he have? And hey, I do like this, I don't like this. Can we try to add some of this to the playbook? What does he look like?
Yeah, he's still obviously young in his starting career, so he is not overbearing with any of that. Like he's the kind of guy that's like, yeah, whatever you put out there, I'm gonna make it work, which is awesome. But at the same time, when if he sees something different, he's getting more and more comfortable with voicing his opinion. But he's such a talented player and such a good dude. He's gonna try and trust whatever we put in, and he'll have his input on stuff, and go out there and put the best product on the field.
When it comes to the quarterback room, obviously one of the most talked about in the league. And I thought it was interesting when you were talking to Zach. He said he's really noticed Michael step up in meetings and being more vocal. Just what have you kind of seen from him in this second year with him?
Yeah, a lot of the same. It's just more accountability, right? Obviously, when you're coming in as a backup, you don't have to be really accountable to too much as far as the offense is concerned. And then once we give you the keys, it's like, okay, this is mine. I understand the offense. I know everything revolves around me now. And so just that accountability. And that's just what I preach to him, is now is yours, man. So just have that accountability and don't be afraid to speak up. And I think that's what you see.
And OTAs, how much are you really working on with them, and what are you trying to fine-tune?
Yeah, I think in the offseason, that's what it's about, right? Just improvement. So just trying to fine-tune everything. Your weaknesses, you're trying to get better, and then your strengths, you're trying to get better. So just every single day, we just talk about the process, not trying to get too ahead of ourselves, right? Just coming in every single day. It's only phase 2. We can't beat Tampa Bay today. You know what I mean? So we can only be better than we were yesterday, and that's all we try to focus on.
You talked about, Penix being the backup last year. How much more does it help him, or how much does it make him better knowing that he is the starting quarterback this year? How does that change?
Yeah, I think for anybody, if you talk to any backup in the league, they'll tell you, yeah, you can prepare as much as you want to, but you don't really prepare the way you would if you were the starter. You know what I mean? It's just hard because you don't get the reps, and a lot of guys need the reps, at quarterback especially. You need to feel that receiver coming out of his break at 12 yards. You need to feel how it feels when you let go a blazer route down the field to Mooney, you know what I mean? And those things you don't get to do when you're a backup, you know what I mean? You're throwing to the scout team guys. And so once you're the starter, that's when you really get a feel for the game, and I think that's going to be good for him.
Have you seen, we can't obviously see practice or anything like that, have you seen a little splash or anything from him that you're like, okay, right?
Nothing that's not surprising. All the things that you've seen from him in college and why he was picked 8th overall is all the things that you're seeing now. So as his coach, I don't try to get too excited. I try to keep him humble, like I always say. But no, he's a humble guy, man. But we have a good relationship, and everything that I'm seeing, I'm expecting.
I know obviously that offenses can change, but how much does it help this offense, especially quarterback, having a second year under the same offensive coordinator?
Look, it's great. I mean, the continuity is everything. Like last year, we came in, we had guys from LA, Rams, guys from the Chargers, me, myself from New Orleans, and we were all just coming in and just trying to figure this thing out, right? We were just putting in the offense and trying to figure it out along with the players. Now this year, we have a better understanding. Everybody does. We know exactly how Zach is going to call a game, what he wants to see from the offense. And so obviously, he's the leader of this whole thing, and we just follow him. You know what I mean? And I think so the second year in, we understand his messaging, everything like that. It's just, it's going to be good for all of us included.
And just what are your thoughts on the NFL allowing the guys to play in the flag football?
It's funny. It's going to be interesting. Do you guys remember the NFL Street game? So NFL Street was like a video game, and it was really like 7-on-7. So instantly, that's what I thought about. It's like, wow, this is just like NFL Street back in the day when I was 3rd and 4th grade. So it'll be cool. I don't know who's going to play, but I think it'll be good. Just growing the game, you know what I mean? Getting those guys some notoriety around the world. I think it'll be cool for them. So it'll be pretty cool. I'll watch.
You got to pick one from this team, which it is.
Oh,
who would you pick?
No offense to anybody, but Bijan Robinson is outstanding at everything. I haven't seen him not do anything well.
Okay,
so
that's your vote.
Bijan Robinson gets my vote.
Awesome, thank you.
How are you feeling entering this offseason program, where the line stands?
I feel great about it. I'm real excited about it. To me, I think with that position, continuity is a big piece of it. When you can bring guys back and have that same room, obviously the verbiage, just knowing each other, that's a big step with it, because really I always feel like that room, the more connected they are, the better they're going to play. And so like you look at it, a lot of those guys have been together now for a lot of years together now. And so very excited about the growth of that room, but also like going into this year now and just really excited about it.
How difficult is it to replace Drew Dahlman?
Well, anytime you're replacing a starter, it's hard. It's difficult. The thing about it is, like, you just hope that you're always preparing those guys behind those stuff, because you never know what's going to happen. And so to have those guys prepared behind, and just when they do get those opportunities to show the ability that you can go out there and do it. And I think that Newsel, he had a lot of those opportunities for us last year. He had a lot of opportunities to go out there and start and kind of run the show for us out there. And so it's just one of those things where you never know, like, when those opportunities are going to come when you're a backup. But anytime you lose a starter, like, there's always, like, you don't want to lose guys. But it's the NFL. You know that it's going to happen at some point. And Drew was awesome for us here, but at the same time, we're very excited about Newsel.
What gives you confidence in Newsel?
Well, I think it's the sample size that you saw last year. Obviously, he's been here as an undrafted free agent, was in the same class as Drew. It's you just kind of saw him kind of work through every year and just getting better and better, learning that position as well. And, when nothing can really take the place of game reps. And I think the nice thing, what you got to see with Newsel, like, he had that, it was about 7 or 8 games last year where he got an opportunity to go out and start, and to really show that, hey, I can run this thing up front. I can set the table for us. The operation was great, and he played really, really well for us. And I thought that he played at a high level. And so to me, that was great getting to see him in that sample size.
When you talk about high level, what are you looking at for a center you can get to be like, okay, he can be our guy? Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think operation has to be there. Like, you got to be able to make calls, get everybody on the same page, but at the same time, you got to obviously know when to snap the ball, and you can't be late with it, and so there can be snap issues. And so operation is first and foremost. But then after that, he's got to have the ability, with what we asked that guy, he's got to be athletic enough to be able to get out in space in some areas, and then also to be able to do some certain blocks up front, but also have enough power on the inside, enough strength that he can hold the pocket there and keep the depth of the pocket clean. And so those are the things that we're looking for at that position. Does it say that Ryan's willing to be here? Which is good, despite not being officially signed.
Oh, man, that's Newsel. That's Ryan. And Newsel, like, recruited him in college when he was at when he was coming in Appalachian State, and Ryan wants to go out and work. He's about being out there with the guys. He's about just wanting to continue to learn, continue to grow as a player. He's a guy that's going to roll up his sleeves and go to work every day. And so, like, that whole group, like, just the culture that those guys have in that room is just really good right now.
Where do you think that work ethic comes from?
I think a lot of it obviously comes from, your family when you're growing up. I know the culture there at Appalachian State, and just what, those guys, especially that offensive line group, how that culture is up there. I was just fortunate enough to kind of see it firsthand, just know how that is as a team, like with Jerry Moore when he was there, Scott Satterfield. And so just kind of know that he's kind of always been in, the culture in which you kind of value just the work ethic. When you're in a meeting room, those kind of demands, and just like, what he puts forth every day. It's one thing they always say up there at Alba, always do more than expected. And that's kind of like those guys embody that. You kind of see that. I feel like I'm just talking about Alba, just going back to my college days. But Newsel, he embraces that. He's about the work. He's about the grind. He's just a gritty guy he's going to do, things that you don't really notice, but he's going to go above and beyond. And I think that's just where he's been in his past, but also just growing up with his family and stuff like that as well.
You mentioned the recruiting process. What do you regret?
I remember he was a very athletic tight end in high school. And we were looking at him, and Mark Ivey, our D-line coach at the time, he was recruiting that area. And we really liked him, and our thought was, like, we were going to get him there. We wanted really athletic centers and kind of looked at tight ends to play that position. They're used to handling the ball. They're very athletic. They can move in space. And so when we got there, we watched the film of him and saw him, was like, man, let's try to get this kid here and try to turn him into a center. I left as soon as he got there. I went to NC State, but that's kind of like what was the vision for him there at Apple when I was there with him.
What's your plan for Jack Nelson and getting him incorporated into the position room?
You know, first is like, you know, when those guys come in, it's so much for them to learn. Like, it's so much. He's very fortunate in coming into a really good room. A lot of guys that's been together, but like you get in a room with like Jake Matthews, Chris Lindstrom, guys that'll show you how to be a pro. Like that's first and foremost. And so I think he's got great examples throughout that room on how to be a pro. Secondly, he's got to learn some technique and some fundamental work that we'll incorporate with him. Then it's just kind of learning the playbook from there. And not only that, now it's going to speed up a little bit faster on that field for him. And so, like, each level you go to, it seems like it gets faster and faster. The guys that you're playing, you know, one of the big difference up front is, like, now you're going to be going up against some guys
Approaching the third level.
a 32-year-old guy that's been in the league for 8 or 9 years now, that's very savvy, but also he's strong. He's got a lot of moves. So it's just a lot to kind of get ready for. And so, but for us, you know, we're going to try to get him out there and speed him up as fast as we can to see what all he can take in and learn right away. He's been great so far, you know, and get him playing also all along the line. Like, to me, I think when you're coming into the league, you need to just be an offensive lineman. And, you know, if it's playing tackle, right, left, if it's playing guard, if we need you to play center, but just a willingness to do whatever it is that's asked of you. And Jack's been great with that so far.
Wisconsin cross-trained him too. Have you seen that already played?
Yes.
Here?
Yep.
You mentioned building that continuity, and how do you incorporate Mickey Dye as Denver?
You know, you try to just get guys to do things. We do a lot of things together. Be it, you know, outside of facilities, if it's going to dinner or something like that, if it's, you know, going fishing, different things like that. But the more that they can be connected, they kind of understand that as well. And they do a lot of things with themselves as well as a group. And I just think that's a big piece of it. You can't just be in here in the hallways and, you know, at lunch and at breakfast. Those guys got to be truly connected. And the more we can do, then we try to make it to where, like, you know, it's not always ball, but it's always also about life. And the more you get to know someone outside the facility and about their life, their why they do the things they do, I think you feel like there's a little bit more care within that room about one another. Then once you start getting that, I think that's when you see a really connected group with it.
And more on Ryan, what's a specific issue where you see this take that work ethic to it?
You know, it's really like when he first got here, and it was just doing whatever we needed him to do. It didn't matter what it was. If it was holding the bag and trying to give Chris Lindstrom the best look that he could possibly get, he was going to do that, and he did that. He did that for a whole year. And then, but while he was doing that, he was still trying to develop his craft as well, and he did that. And then just seeing how much he was trying to help other guys, because when you first come in, like, you want to try to really, it's really about it. The offensive line position is a position of really serving others. And you just saw that unselfishness of him when he first got here and how hard he worked to try to help other guys and also still trying to work on his craft.
Thank you. First of all, the tush push is sticking around.
Yeah.
They made that. So just overall, from an offensive line standpoint, just what are your thoughts on it, and now that it's staying?
You know, whatever you can do to get a first down offensively, like, I'm for it, or, you know, whatever it was going to be, it was going to be. Obviously, I think that each team, like, whoever you are, like, we have certain plays that we kind of look to go to when we're in those situations. That has not been a play that we kind of typically went to. And so, but I know that there's some teams that are really, really good at it. They do a really good job of incorporating and getting a lot of first downs with it. And so, for me and for us, not much thought really has kind of went into it, but it is what it is, so that's about all.
Is that kind of quarterback dependent or offensive line dependent on whether you can implement?
I think it's probably a little bit of both with it. When you're kind of looking at that with that play with it. Now, I might be the wrong person you're asking for that, like I said, because we haven't really done much of that at all with it. Throughout you think of those situations, everybody does some form of QB sneak. And, that's kind of like a little bit, that's QB sneak is 101 with, the tush push is 500 level now. And so, but even with that play, the offensive line and the quarterback, they have to do a really good job with that.
Copycat league, you imagine you'd see more of it around the league because it's the trend.
Yeah, and I think that obviously teams will try to incorporate and stuff like that. But, I think teams, when it comes down to situational football, I think you're going to be who you are. You're going to go to plays that you feel really comfortable with because just how many opportunities you get at that. And so I think like a lot of times you're just going to see whatever that team is in those situations, that's what you're going to get with it.
So much of the offensive line now is about athleticism. Last year, Kirk was kind of a pocket passer. Michael can kind of do both. What does that do kind of for leading up to this season, kind of more that these guys may be able to get out and run and have to get out and kind of not so much pass block?
For us, not much with it, for us, it's just but the protection, whatever protection is called with it, regardless, we got to make sure we keep that defender from getting to the quarterback. Whoever's back there, no matter who it is. And, be it if it's a guy that scrambles around or a guy that's kind of sitting back there in the pocket. For us, the challenge is each week, the guys in front of us obviously present a big enough issue. So really, we're not thinking about, so-and-so's back there, so he's going to escape out. Now, for us, we're thinking about a pocket the whole time. We got to be firm. We got to be good on the edges, and just now looking at those individual matchups up front.
Yeah, guys are just working. We go in there and we install. We got 4 new guys in the room now. So a lot of it's new to those guys. Charlie and Kyle, they're trying to bridge the gap for things that they don't know. But those guys they're putting their head down. They're working. They're taking the coaching, not saying a whole lot, which is good. And but no, we're very physical in that room now with the addition. So I'm very excited to get out there and put pads on eventually in fall camp. But it's going to be fun in phase 3. Get these guys out here running around a little bit against the defense. So guys just been working. Just putting their head down and grind.
I feel like there's, for the past couple of years, we've been talking about, Kyle Pitts and trying to reach that full potential. He hasn't we haven't seen that yet fully.
Right.
So where do you think he can kind of take that next step in OTAs, and where is he going into this season?
Yeah, absolutely. For Kyle, our big rallying cry this offseason for him, and we've talked about it one-on-one, is hey, just the consistency, play in and play out with him. Because I told him he made the mistake. You put it on tape. You show us that you can do it. Now the challenge is just doing it more consistently, down in and down out, and he's capable of doing that. I told him hey, it's going to be uncomfortable for everybody, but you can't grow without it being uncomfortable. So he's ready for the challenge. He looks good. He's moving well. So I'm excited for him.
Do you feel like maybe he has a little bit of edge or chip on his shoulder? He feels like he has something to prove and show everyone that I can be the guy that everyone expects me to be?
I think we all do. I think that's why you guys are standing here. That's why we're here. So I think we all have a chip on our shoulder. I think we all have something to prove. And once you make it here, the job just started. Like Kobe said, job's not done yet. So I think we all have a chip on our shoulder. So he's no different than any of us standing right here. So I'm excited to see what he puts out there on the field this year.
What does a successful season look like for him?
Oh man, I tell him a lot too. Is hey, it's not always about catches and yards and touchdowns. I think a lot of times it's how a building and a facility feels about you postseason. So it's I think that's more so is hey, having the trust and the respect from your teammates to your front office to your coaches. So I don't think that's something that can be quantified. It's more of a feeling, but yeah, it's hard to put
a price tag in terms of like yards and catches and touchdowns, and as long as we go to the Super Bowl, excuse my language, that's all that really matters. So. Yeah, that's probably it.
How does it feel just overall for this offense? It's second year with Zach and everyone kind of in their roles and kind of with the schemes. Like, just how does it feel overall to be in a second year?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot less strenuous in terms of it going into a second year. In terms of the guys that you're going to be depending on already know, hey, they already know what to expect, how we want these routes ran, how we want these blocks hit. So it's usually a good thing when you're in meetings and guys are asking these second and third level questions in terms of what can we expect, how you want me to do this. So I think it puts everybody at ease, like already knowing what to expect, hey, knowing how Zach exactly wants his play being ran. It's going to be a lot of fun.
What do you tell him how do you tell him to approach this season? Because you mentioned he's basically fighting for the third spot. I mean, Bijan and Tyler are your workhorses. So what do you tell Jace? This should be your goal for 2025.
I think I'd really tell all of them it's just you versus you.
Yeah.
You know it's competition. You signed up to play professional football. You know what it is. But it's just you versus you. Stay out of your own way. Do what you need to do. Be coachable. Be where you need to be, and just do the things you need to do to give yourself a chance to be in that competition. And I think if you do that, all the guys in that room, I think it's going to be a really, really fun competition as we keep watching it through the spring and into the summer. Perfect. Thank you.
I'm sure you already talked about him, but with Bijan, what does he need to do to take his game to another level?
Yeah, I think for B, going into year 3, I think the next step for him is being able to consistently hit those home run plays. And it's not searching for it, it's just letting it come to him and being able to do some small tweaks and some things that we can help him in the open field, but also not taking away his natural running ability and instincts.
How do you build that home run capability?
Yeah, no, I think it's, like I said, it's being able to recreate the game. That's the challenging part in the game of football because, right, you're guaranteed 17 opportunities, but there's still a lot of you spend more time practicing, right? So then in practice, how do you recreate those opportunities, recreate and simulate the angles that the defense is going to take so then he can work on those different things that show up in those 17 guaranteed opportunities.